Today, the Scottish Government's controversial Hate Crime and Public Order Act has come into effect and it's ruffled plenty of feathers. Scotland's First Minister, Hamza Yousaf, has insisted the law will empower victims of hatred whilst maintaining public freedom of expression. Yeah, so is this new law a threat to free speech? And most importantly, will it actually work? Joe, from what I can work out, this law could basically criminalise the likes of Ricky Gervais and J.K. Rowling for basically telling jokes and standing up for what women are. And women are not protected under this new law. That was the tricky
weird
one.
thing, isn't it?
You know, it's not weird. It is very, very concerning, isn't it?
I mean, this is, joking aside, or, you know, facetiousness aside, this is a sledgehammer to crack a nut that actually doesn't exist. You know, we talk about the police a lot on this programme. We talk about them being under-resourced or being sent in the wrong direction. How are you going to police something when somebody can anonymously phone up and report that Ben Habib, I overheard him on the phone saying something that I don't like and I'm really upset. No, I'm not giving you my name. Because that's how it stands at the moment.
Yeah, because you can report it as a third party.
Utterly ludicrous.
So this is, sorry to interrupt, but this is what I meant earlier when I said the left is on the march. This is a left wing shutting down of debate. That's what the Scottish Parliament is. It's effectively left wing.
But the whole thing is utterly ridiculous. And, you know, we've got laws in place across the United Kingdom that protect people for discrimination against disability and gender, race, and, you know, age,
homophobia, all of those things. Ageism.
And this thing about, I mean, I think it goes back to what Ben and I hopefully try to do, which is to disagree agreeably.
Yes.
And to have civil conversations where we are completely opposite.
Absolutely.
On so many...
Unless, of course, you go off on one and then I have to challenge you.
I know.
I mean, scones. I mean, come on.
Wait for it, people. Wait for it. There's going to be clotted cream and jam all over the television screens around the country.
Just have my jacket dry clean. Come on, Jack.
It's all right. It's pink. But I think, you know, the whole point about this is who and what do you want the police, who are under-resourced, to do? And, you know, I'm with J.K. Rowling on this stuff about misgendering. You know, and she's put out tweets or whatever they're called these days today saying, yeah, come on, arrest me.
I mean, basically, her tweet today basically saying that women don't have penises is now potentially an arrestable offence in Scotland.
I mean, what is the world coming to? You know, we spent 100-odd years, or we spent the last 100 years emancipating women, giving them rights, protecting women, making it possible for them to come out in...
Only because we fought and protested for it. Only because we fought and protested.
It was very generous of men to allow us to have that, wasn't it?
We gave you
No, but what this is now doing is setting that entire movement back ostensibly in the promotion of transgender ideology. And we had this ridiculous thing last week, I don't know if you saw it, with the female employees in the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, being threatened with legal action if they complained about transgender... I call them transgender men because they're still men. I know some people call them transgender women. But men who want to be women going into their loos. And they were threatened with legal action. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. But the other thing in this bill, this act that worries me, is the protection of religion as a debating point. Now, we ditched blasphemy laws 100 years ago.
In theory.
For very good reason. Because blasphemy laws, again, can be used to shut down debate and to cower parts of the country, to prevent people from being able to talk openly.
Would you want to have a chat with that bloke, the RE teacher in Batley in Yorkshire, about blasphemy laws? He's still in hiding.
Well, exactly. And, you know, if you give succour to people like Hamza Yousaf with this kind... If you allow them this kind of indulgence, they'll be shutting down debate right across the board.
I think what is so alarming about this, and it's been knocking around for, I think, since 2021.
Yeah, it's been going a long time.
Going around. Yeah. So there's been plenty of time for it to be debated and discussed and picked over the entrails and all the rest of it. But in every interview that I've read and heard of ministers in Scotland trying to defend it. They've had to sort of row back to the point, well, then that would be up to the police to decide. Well, no, of course you couldn't be prosecuted for this, that and the other. And you think, well, what is the point of it then?
Let's play devil's advocate very slightly on this. Obviously, the whole transgender thing, which is the most toxic debate you can possibly have at the moment. Now, there are people out there that use very hateful language about transgender people.
And lots of other people.
But as you pointed out, Joe, lots of other people are already protected. I mean, race, age, sexuality, etc. But, I mean, there isn't anything specific until this in Scotland to protect transgender people from being insulted in this way.
But it's also...
But there cannot be a law against insulting someone. It's almost...
But they're calling it, they're stirring up hatred.
By what? By what? By passing a law like this?
No. The law has got this clause in it, which now extends from the laws that we've got in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, which is stirring up hatred.
Yeah.
Well, that is very subjective.
It's impossible.
But the other thing is that it seems to me that, we're either infantilising ourselves as a country or as a society, that we have to go to the police and expect them to intervene, when we are not able to say, hang on, Ben, I find that really offensive, or Dawn, that was really out of order. We should be able to do that, and we should be able to call out the blokes who say, oh, it's just banter.
But don't belittle the importance of this act. This is, it no doubt is infantilising us, but what it is fundamentally doing is shutting down free speech. This is the thing of dictatorships. We should be allowed to offend each other. How do you have diversity of thought and progression in thought if you're not allowed to really challenge robustly someone else's ideology and beliefs? You've got to be able to go head to head, and you will be offended. And I'll be offended, and we may throw our toys out of the pram. But that shouldn't result in an arrest.
Do you think we should have picked up on this happening first with the universities, where it was the thought police? You can only think one way. We've had university lecturers hounded out of their jobs, mainly for the trans issue. I mean, sort of George Orwell's 1984 was a work of fiction. I mean, is it now literally real life?
But it is, and I'm sorry to go back to it, but the heart of all of this is in diversity, equality and inclusion. The promotion of transgender rights is just one of the promotions that is now advocated for and promoted by the regulatory framework in which our educational establishments work. So it is absolutely encouraged that they should promote transgender. The regulatory framework says, please promote transgender rights, please promote ethnic minorities, please promote minority religions, and if necessary, set Christianity aside, set the rights of the white majority aside, and set aside the rights of women. That's what we're seeing.
I think, and to go back really to the point you were saying earlier, well, both of you actually, about this sort of two-tier policing, I should think there are quite a lot of police officers and quite a lot of members of the public who would prefer the police to be investigating other things. And I think, it is absolutely fundamental that people shouldn't be offensive or cause alarm or fear, but we shouldn't always be running to the police to sort it out.
Let us know, if you live in Scotland in particularly, how you feel about this. GB Views at GB News. I mean, we know our prisons are overflowing. If you report a burglary, it's not getting investigated. Rape and sexual assault in London is more or less legalised because it's not investigated, not prosecuted, etc., etc. But what do you think, especially if you're in Scotland? Really keen to hear from you because, comedy acts, you won't be able to go and see them because, Ricky Gervais' face is getting nicked, basically.